Greetings, Tony from Old River Hardgoods again. Took a week off last week from doing videos because it was just one of those weeks where there were too many irons and not enough fires. But I'm back, and this week's video we're going to take a look at the exciting and fascinating world of denglestocks. Now, what's a dengelstock, you ask? Well, the Pennsylvania Dutch, which is German, a corruption of the word Deutsch, farmers, instead of grinding down their scythe blades to waste that precious steel, would use the dengelstock and a small hammer called a dingle to draw out the edge of the scythe, and once it got dulled, bringing it back to a pretty good degree of sharpness, and then it would get touched up with a stone. And, of course, the tool they use for this is the dengelstock. So, with all that being said and done, let's get on with the show. Well, dengelstocks originated over in Europe, and the styles are somewhat different than the ones I'm going to be showing you. They tend to be longer, 16 to 20 inches or so. Most of the faces on the ones that I have seen are square, but occasionally you do see one with a straight face, like the one in that picture there. They always have that forged little flower or scroll type thing at the bottom. Now, again, they're called stump anvils, but I've been told by folks that a lot of folks would just stick them in the ground and support them with their knees while they worked on them, which makes kind of sense because the spikes on most of the ones of those I've seen aren't really sharp, and trying to hammer that into a stump would be quite a project. But anyways, moving on. Hey, look, he's got workbench space. Not much, and it ain't going to be that way for long, but it's a start. Anyways, here we have a selection of the Pennsylvania Dutch style dengelstocks. And the bodies are wrought iron, tapered, clink, clank. Yeah, I'm having fun here. Remember, that cameraman position's still open here, so maybe we want to volunteer. Turn around a bit so you can see. And they have steel faces. The body's forged, the top is split, and then the steel is forged welded, excuse me. And that they are hardened. I've tried running a file over these from time to time to clean them up, and it just kind of laughs at it. So, see, that one has a little bit of a chip. That's the only one this one I cleaned, this one I cleaned, this one somebody dip cleaned, which I don't really care for, but we can fix that. But anyways, and they always have this spike at the end to be hammered into a stump or the top of a fence post. Once in a great while, you will see one with a spike that's oriented like this rather than like this. But again, that's not very common. Something else that isn't very common are finding signed ones. I've sold well over a couple hundred of these guys, probably pushing 300 over the years, and I've only had 2 signed ones. For some reason, the blacksmiths just weren't big on marking their work. I guess it was such a common item they didn't feel the need to, but this one looks like it's signed, but it's not. That's just a bit of roughness on the cast iron there, or the wrought iron. Excuse me. I'm trying. And they are kind of good collectibles. You know, I never have any problem selling them. Sometimes it takes a little while, but what are you going to do, right? Another style you find, although less common, are the square-faced ones. Let's stick this guy in here. See a little better? Somebody dressed his face. It's got a few dings. But here's a couple other examples of this style. And again, like I said, these are not very common. I'd say I find one of these for every 50 of these that show up. So, and another style that you see, or just the basic, what everybody calls a stump anvil, which basically has a small, heavy face, sometimes rounded, sometimes flat, sometimes square, with just a spike on the end. But those are also denglestocks, or used as dengelstocks. And they're kind of handy tools too. I mean, they get used for other things. I know folks that use them for jewelry making and doing very small work in the blacksmith shop, and you find good ones. Sometimes I've seen them with Austria marks, Germany marks, but you also find the older hand forged ones as well. Now, on to the hammers. The hammers are also hand forged. The hammers are called a dingle, with a wrought iron body and steel on the face and peen. And the most common style is this one with the peen at the lower end. Kind of looks like a tinsmith's hammer, but it's not. And the eye is square punched. And they're not that common. I mean, yeah, there used to be lots of them around, and I'm sure there's still a few of them around, but unfortunately, hammers get used hard. They get used for more than just what they were made to be used for, and most of them have some mushrooming on the face or the peen, and there's all kinds of damage. I had a couple of damaged ones floating around the shop here someplace, but couldn't find them for this video. So, but this is a good example of them, and once in a while I will come across a dengelstock and a hammer together and sell them as a pair, but that does not happen too often. And of course, the last step in the process is to dress the edge of the blade with a stone. And these stones were carried in a horn, such as these. They've got some of them have copper hooks, some of them have hand forged hooks on the side. They're called vinegar horns because after the worker returned to the barn, the horn was filled with vinegar, and the stone left to sit in there to clean out the iron residue. See, that practice has been around a lot longer than the current crop of dip 'em and clean 'ems, which I don't approve of. I've said that before more than once. But anyways, many years back, I had a gorgeous one. It was square formed, meaning the horn had been boiled or heated, shaped around a square form at the top, and it was beautifully pin punched decorated. And I looked high and low for a picture of it, and I'm not sure whatever happened to those pictures, but that was quite a number of years back, and I don't have my archives much past 2005, not even, I should say 2006. 2005 is pretty light too, so, but anyways. So, one more look at our Denglestock family here, and that's it for this segment. That's all for the Denglestock section. Now we're going to go on to the flea market finds section. And, you know, it bears pointing out that on these flea market trips, I'm usually up anywhere between 3:45 and 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm driving anywhere from 60 to 100 miles round trip, doing 2.5 to sometimes 3.5 hours of walking. And by the time I get back to the shop and shoot these flea market segments, I'm pretty well shot. So, you know, there's going to be flubs, there's going to be camera shakiness and all that stuff, but hey, at least I'm trying. So, here we go. Well, Wednesday at the flea market, it was beautiful out, 52 degrees Fahrenheit. no wind, clear skies, great moon. And I thought there'd actually be more people there, but what are you going to do, right? And I managed to snag a few items, nothing really, really great, but there's a few neat ones in here, so let's take a look. Sorry about banging the light. A pair of blacksmith tongs, but these are kind of specialized. One-sided jaws notched on each end for some reason. A blacksmith's square hole punch, always a crowd pleaser. A hand-forged wheelwright's traveler. Unfortunately, it does have a crack on the wheel, so that'll need some tending to. I'm thinking this is a fid for rope work, but it's definitely different. A neat little screwdriver. That'll clean up okay. An Ajax drill index. Haven't bothered to look up to see what the idiots are giving those away for these days, but I paid some money for it, so hopefully I can make some money back on it. This was neat. This is a number 0 Colt clamp. Now, I've talked about Colt clamps in the past, so I'm not going to bore you with all that again, but I bet you're thinking, I've never seen one that small before. But then I'm sure you've heard that from more than one girlfriend in the past also. But it works, and it's kind of neat. It's going to need just a wee bit of detailing. Stanley 49, auger bit depth gauge, needs some cleaning, but I ain't going to worry about that until the last one I posted sells. They seem to have died off. Moving up top here, a complete set of drafting tools that need a little German made, need a little TLC, but the price was right. One of my first finds was a General miter square. I forget the patent that's based on, but if I'd have known it was a General, I might have passed on it. It was kind of hard to see in the dark. Here we got a well-used Stanley, not sure what vintage under the rust. These things were sitting out in the morning dew, unfortunately. A 19th century tri-square, kind of a little rough. I was hoping to find a name on it, but nothing showed up yet. But we'll see what happens when I clean it. And down here in the smalls, here's another neat item. A hand-forged leatherworker scallop punch, or a scallop pinker, whatever you want to call them. Everybody got a different name for them, but the edge is pretty good on this. Just needs a little detail, and I can tell you the last time I had one of these guys, either commercially made in the scallop punches or hand forged. I used to find them occasionally, but not no more. A little double-ended pen vise. This was another find. You can see that mark. Stanley Sweetheart screwdriver bit. Those go in the Stanley toolboxes of the era, and they're pretty hard to come by. I usually get some good money for them. I mean, there was a time they were selling for 45 bucks a pop, but I kind of doubt that's going to happen anymore. Got a Stevens line level, good shape, and a little Somax Japan chisel and plain blade sharpening guide. It's kind of the same thing as the Eclipse models, and I guess Record sold something similar, but hey. Oh yeah, and I forgot, Mr. Broadaxe here. Back's not too bad, although it does have some mushroom, and I want to need to deal with that. The eye looks to be good, no cracks. I didn't see a name on it yet, but I didn't look too hard. But broad axe, broad hatchet, it's kind of intermediate because of the size and weight, but we'll do some work on that. So another day's picking and another day's pile of tools. Well, after a pretty dead day at the market on Saturday, I once again crawled out of bed at 4 a.m. and made the journey up there, and pickings were a little better this time. It was nice. 58, 59 degrees, cool but comfortable, heading up to 80. But First it was looking pretty sad again, but then I managed to nail a few things, so let's take a quick look. This ball peen hammer, which normally I haven't been nutsing with, but it's got a really neat user mark on it under all that paint. Small little cross peen hammer that's going to need some work. This is an Atkins number 8 scraper. That's going to need some work, but they're not too common. A True Temper. I believe this is a national pattern, at least according to Plum. Hatchet. I might have that sold already. We'll see. A Stanley Scratch All on the original card. New old stock. Plastic's discolored, but the tool itself is good. This is a little patented wine cork gadget. I forget the exact use for it, but that's what it looks like with the cap off. A Brown and Sharp 715 thread pitch gauge. Somebody kind of cleaned that one up a bit. Didn't see a maker's mark on this chisel, but it's English, 1/4 inch firmer. Pad saw needs some cleaning. A long turn screw. Yeah, I know, I'm jumping the camera around, yell at me. Handle's kind of got some repairs and whatever, that's going to need some work. Another Stanley number 4. This one's a Type 19, but again, it's not in too bad a shape and won't take too much, I believe, in the way of custom to get it back into working condition, so I might even tackle that one this afternoon. We'll see. And an English number 12 round plane. I can't really make out the maker's mark there. It does say Birmingham. But this is also York pitch and skew. So that makes it a little on the uncommon side. So that was the first part of today's pickings. Well, then I fired up the tank and headed the 60 miles over to the Orgsburg flea market. And again, it started off kind of light. I did find a Stanley 59 dowel jig in the box, except that the cup that goes on the end of that is worked loose, so I'm going to have to try peening that. If you hear some screaming, you'll know I wasn't very successful. This is an H. Chapin, I believe. The mark's kind of faint. 1/2 inch match tongue plane. I don't see too many of the smaller ones around. Hopefully that'll clean up. Now, the rest of this stuff here all came from one guy. And I clean stuff. Yeah, he cleans stuff. Well, some of it he cleans. Some of it's like, oh my God. Anyways, this is marked 7/8, but it's a Sergeant, made by Sandusky. This time I'm right with the name. But it's a 1/4 inch skew rabbit. Unless somebody narrowed a 7/8 inch one down, but I know they made them that small. And those are pretty uncommon. Stanley 51 spoke shave, blades in backwards, but that's only going to need just a little TLC. This one, I believe this is a Union. Based on the handle style and that, I'll have to do my usual research. A little different on the cap approach there, blade being the cap, or screw through the blade. 3 leather awls. Oh, those are 100 years old. Yeah. But I got them at a reasonable enough price. Nice clean. I don't think he mucked with this one. Buck Brothers scratch all. This one's a little different. It's got a November 27, 1883. I think that's the date, patent date, but nothing shows up. But I do think that's a leather tool, a lacing tool, just based on the style of it. I'm going to have to do some more research on that. Now, this guy had a pile of chisels. Oh, my God. Unfortunately, his idea of cleaning involves severely power washing them. This one wasn't too bad. I'll have to do a little doctrine on the back, but, he erased the name, obviously, but yeah, it's a working tool. This one I probably should have just left there because I think I see some cracks there, but I'm not sure. But it's your basic pig sticker style mortising chisel without the handle. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it can be salvaged. I'll have to bang around on it and make sure it's solid. So yeah, again, not a super pile, but yeah, you do what you can do, right? And that's all for this one, folks. Hope you enjoyed my little presentation. I hope you learned something. I'm going to be going on a road trip in a few days and hopefully bringing back all kinds of great and wonderful tools. But, you pay the money and you take your chances, so we shall see. Anyways, if you like what you're seeing, please hit that subscribe button to be notified when new videos are posted. Thanks for watching and have a great day.